This is Stronger Than My Father with Marcus Menace.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Stronger Than My Father podcast. I am your host, Marcus Menace Sr. Those who are new to Stronger Than My Father podcast, this podcast is designed to bring more awareness to fatherhood with the hopes one day that we're going to make fatherhood cool again. Hey, you guys, I can't do this by myself. I have to thank my producer, Mr. Jim McCarthy, at jmvos.com. If you are in need of a podcast producer or you're looking for some voiceover work, reach out to my friend Jim McCarthy at jmvos.com. Hey, thanks all the supporters, those who follow us on social media. Thank you so much for helping this podcast continue to grow and continue to bring awareness to fatherhood. So let's go to work. Hey, I'd like to welcome my guest, friend of mine who I met last year, who's been a blessing in my life, man. Just things we've talked about, going out to one of our great restaurants that have those, what's some balls called, man?
The Boudin balls.
Boudin balls, yeah, man.
Yes, sir.
I need to go out there today, man. I'm hungry. So I'd like to welcome great nonprofit, Hard Bargain, that we're going to talk about, Mr. Derrik Solomon. So thank you so much. Thanks for coming in, blessing the mic.
No problem, man. No, thank you. Thank you, Stronger Than My Father, your sponsors, and your producing everybody for inviting me. Cause, man, just the invitation alone, man, I'm very humbled. I followed the podcast pretty closely over the last year or so.
So you know what you're getting into with dealing with me.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Well, I will say you're probably maybe the third or fourth guy who's been on this podcast who grew up with his father.
Okay, gotcha.
So we probably going to have some similarities. Okay. To our episode of how our father raised us, but I think the work we're doing to help others is what made me gravitate to you of what you're doing, because you have a heart to serve people in the Franklin area. Everybody know who Derrik Solomon is in Franklin. So, so let's tell my audience a little bit about yourself, where you was from, how you grew up with your dad, some of his work ethics he put in you to become the father and the husband that you are today.
Yes, sir. So I grew up in actually Ringo, Louisiana. It's actually Bienville Parish.
Okay.
I know out here we so used to counties, but I actually grew up in a parish, and so. But I was born in Shreveport, Louisiana.
Shreveport,
in LSU Medical Center. My father's Derrik Solomon. I have my mother, who is Elite Salesperson, but. And I will get into that later.
Okay.
They're now divorced, and she actually remarried to my stepfather, which is R.L. Brisker, Lee Brisker. And so anyway, but I grew up in this little town, one light, 1201. One was the dog on the porch kind of situation.
Yeah.
46 poorest state in the country. So, I wanted, to seek more opportunities and try to do better for myself in the future of what I believed in for as giving my family or my son or daughter at that time in my head, as a young adolescent, trying to figure a way or a better path for a better future for all the rest of the generation that's going to come after me. And so learned a lot there, spent a lot of time with my grandfather as well, Willie Howard, and we have a big family because he had five or six brothers and sisters and twins in our family. So we had a huge family. All my great uncles, spent great time with them, learned how to change tires, how to garden. My grandfather had a farm. And so, I have a great leadership from some strong men back in Louisiana. Oh,
okay. Now, growing up with your father, how did that shape you? Now, I know you said it was divorce. I know we didn't talk about that pre-production. So I do want to ask you, how did that affect you as a man? Oh, yeah. But just being raised by your father before the divorce, how was that relationship, and how did that kind of shape you to the man you are today?
Oh man, it set the foundation. My dad was the one that got you up early in the morning, and it wasn't an alarm clock. It was more like, hey, hey son, get out that bed, hit the bed real quick, right? And you're gonna jump up, and that was it, right? And you know, he taught you to make your bed up. And then I was the oldest of the three. I have another brother and sister, LaDonze and Sharonda Solomon. Yeah. And so I had responsibilities on me to make sure that my brother and sister was taken care of. So a lot was on my shoulder, because if they mess up, then it reflects back on me. So I had already started learning management skill sets at the age of like 9 and 10. So you know, but you know, like I said, with him just always being there. Again, my dad was a very hard worker. He was we were a moderate income family. And well, at least for that area, and he worked at an admin brick plant. You know, worked 50, 60 hours a week. He had scoliosis and crooked spine, and you know, he come home and when food was on the table, or mom had fixed all the food, no one ate until he got there. You know, we got
to talk about that.
Yeah,
one.
Oh yeah, man.
I never understood that concept of why the man has to eat first before his kids. Like that bothers me, because I my kids eat before me, but I understand that's an old way, old mentality. But for me, I was trained.
Right. I
had never seen that before, and we both grew up with fathers. Right. Like my dad was like, the kid's good. Right. If he ate, then I would eat last. Right. So, but I know I've heard stories of the food be on the table, but no one eats before dad gets there. That's crazy, man. Yeah. I'm surprised you said that. That's something I've never heard before.
No, Louisiana, they are very traditional. I mean, of course, with times they've shifted away a little bit away from it now, especially with the Gen Zs now. But we waited to, in fact, my mom would just be frustrated if he come in with all that, dirt and mud and everything on. So he had to leave his boots on the porch. Come wash his hands at least. Yeah. And we could come and sit at the table, and then we just had conversations. How your day was, what's going on with you. Which, in our today's society, with so much being instant gratification, I mean, especially with social media, man, we don't really get to talk about that. Everybody have their own lives in this media world, and they can be whoever they want to be in this little avatar. But at the dinner table, sitting in front of your mom and dad, you were vulnerable. You would, and that was a good thing, because we need to talk about that.
Why do you think we don't see that much anymore of people, dad and the kids sit at the table? Now, do we sit at the table together? No. Like, me and my wife will sit in the living room, and my boys will be, we right near them. They have, like, their own little table to eat at, and me and my wife like eating on the couch. So it's not really sitting at the table so much. But why don't you think just generation has changed, where we don't have that method of the food's on the table and we all sit down as a family and talk about our day? You just think because everybody's running and moving, we don't see that anymore?
Some of it, yes, partially.
Okay.
I think some of it also is the family dynamic has changed over, let's say a few decades now. Yeah. Just in regards to how we schedule our time, how we work. A lot of our schedules and stuff are built on AI to make us more efficient. And so, family dinner sometimes not even etched in our schedule. To have. A lot of times, you got a meeting, your last meeting at like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the evening. And so I think it's really on us as the Generation X or the millennials. I think it's on us to really make sure that we still hold that tradition, that value, and just make time to have our families as men in the house, just say, hey, let's sit at the table and let's, really let's just have dinner and just talk, just see.
I'm gonna do that, man. I'm gonna, because me and my wife, we'll both sit on the couch and we look at our boys to the left, to the right, and they at the kitchen table eating. Right. But I will admit, I don't think I ever sat at the table like the four of us and we talk about family dinner and what our day, like, hey, Toya, how was your day today? And hey, MJ, how was your day? I think we kind of move at a fast pace now, but I think. I am thankful for is that we do eat together. Most of the time we eat together, depending on my schedule. we do similar. I guess it's similar. We're eating together as a family.
Yeah.
Where my boys see mom and dad together, and so that's a tradition. You know, because we do it at Thanksgiving. Everybody sit at the table at Thanksgiving.
Right.
That's the only time I really see everybody at the table is at Thanksgiving. So that's a tradition. Maybe people can bring back, man.
Yeah.
Is that you know, I think it's important for kids, but you know, these cell phones now. You know, and it's the thing that I got to change because my boys, man, when they eat, me and my wife watching TV, my boys on them tablets and phones. You know, it's just
lost in the sauce.
Yeah, well, you know what? You know, when we grew up, we didn't have this.
True.
Remember, we didn't have it. Wasn't social media back, you know, in the 80s and stuff like that. Growing up, so we sat at. I can remember growing up, we did sit at the table to eat dinner.
Yes.
Now a lot of times dad was on second shift, so sometimes mom would sit at the table because dad worked second.
Right.
So I can remember that, but now, man, we eat dinner. It's bad when we go. We went to a restaurant last night to eat, and I'm on my phone. MJ's on his phone. Jordan on the tablet. Is that just the new norm now, or should we go back to that old tradition?
I mean, it's pretty common. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I forgot the socioeconomic study that I learned about a few years ago. Yeah. But I remember reading this article, and I went into a restaurant. I think it was Applebee's at the time, man. I miss Applebee's.
Man, you know? Applebee's gone.
Man, I mean, you know, the Maple Blondie? You know, just going to throw that out there just one time.
I ain't been to Applebee's in years.
Yeah, you know.
I used to go a lot in the early 2000s, man. Yeah. That was the spot.
Yeah, it was the spot, man. Yeah. Matter of fact, I think it used to be one off Edmondson, up not too far. Yeah. But anyway, so you know, we went in a restaurant, and this kid, I'll never forget it. He had did this art project with his hands. You know how you should do with lines around hands, make the little shadow puppets and all that. And the guy, he was so busy with his phone, 'cause I guess he was getting, you know, probably emails or texts from his boss from work, and the kids pulling on the show like, "Dad, look, you know, look what I did for you. You know, this was what I did for you at school, you know." And the dad's like, "Just hold on 1 minute, you know." But it was almost, I mean, by the time they got through dinner, you know, and it's crazy because the mother and the husband was actually texting each other about how good their food were instead of verbally communicating it, and they were sitting right there in front of each other.
People, that's crazy. I ain't heard of that.
Yeah, I see it all the time. Like, you know, they taking pictures of the food and this, that, and you know, it's just crazy. But with what we've done in my family, especially at least with my in-laws, my wife's family, my mother-in-law actually still cooks traditional Sunday dinner. Oh, okay. And so after church on Sunday, we actually go to her house. We sit at the big table, you know, settings place, the whole nine. Wow. And we just issue it out. You know, my little sister-in-law might got have a new friend, quote unquote, friend that's a boy, or you know, or my son is probably got more interest in another thing to do, whatever that looks like. But these conversations, you know, what comes out of it is very healthy, because I think, like you said, with your boys, you know, instead of them verbalizing with this person that's online who may be fictitious, and they true intent for your kids, it should be some type of positive outcome or structured feedback or conversation coming from the actual parents. Yeah, and so that also increases the strength and relationship between not only just the kid and the father, but along with the mother too. The mother is a valuable role. Female leadership often doesn't get looked at, and so that mother being at that supportive role, man. I mean, it all counts. But for both of y'all to be there, you know, in unison, and y'all just having this free for all conversation, man. It's just so enlightening, you know, because you don't see that no more. I mean, it's very rare. Yeah, I think now, you know, when you look at the statistics, that 1 out of 4 has a dad in the home. Right. The mom sometimes is tired. She don't feel like food. You know, she tired. She need to relax and be herself, and that could be a positive and a negative. Because I tell people all the time is that your words that come out your mouth affects the child. Correct. So when you call him this, or you call him a negative name, or you call your daughter a negative name, they remember that. They sure do. And I don't know how the brain can do that. Right. But you can remember if your mom called you stupid at 5, you're going to remember that. Oh, yeah.
And so a lot of times, I really have a soft heart for single moms. Probably after my latest podcast, they're gonna think I'm the devil. I hate everybody, but I can see why they're tired, because God never had a design for them to do all that work. Correct. So when you have a design that's taken out of alignment, then you run into all these what I call problems.
Right.
So for me as a husband, as a father, I always ask my wife every day, "What you want to do for dinner?"
Right.
Every day.
Right.
It'd be 8:00 in the morning. "What you want to do for dinner?" She's like,
Right.
"I ain't even thought about dinner today." It's just a part of me. But I want to get into your work, your nonprofit that you're doing called Hard Bargain, and let people know, why did you start? I think you said your dad started it, and you just family business. So tell my audience a little bit about the work that you're doing to impact lives through housing.
Yes. Well, first of all, Hard Bargain is a uncommon name. It actually is the oldest African American community in Franklin, Tennessee history.
Okay.
Been now 157 years. It's 2 square city blocks, sits right down in the heart of downtown Franklin, historic district, and we've been fortunate. My wife's grandfather, actually, Pastor RL, Reverend RL Denny Denson, is the co-founder, along with Pastor Scott Rowley, who actually lives right here in Nashville still.
Okay.
And Mr. Denson, Reverend Denson, he was a number of things. I mean, he was this great guy. Green Beret Special Forces to Black Panther in the 60s, and always was trying to first African American consultant, Ken and Metal. I mean, he had a number of things he accomplished in his lifetime. He passed away in 2008 due to pancreatic cancer stage 4. But man, he was a mentor to me, and so I really learned about the neighborhood and organization through him, and just going to all these meetings with coalition pastors that they put together called Empty Hands Fellowship. And that occurred around about 1995 or so. But they were so tremendous to the city of Franklin and Williamson County, because they were addressing not only housing gaps, but they were addressing education gaps as well as health gaps. Okay. But Hard Bargain Association was the housing arm. Okay. And so Hard Bargain itself, as far as the history of that community, started with an ex-slave by the name of Harvey McLemore. Okay. And he went and purchased the land from his ex-slave owner by the name of Judge W.S. McLemore, who was a presiding judge at downtown Franklin Historic Courthouse. That courthouse is significant because United States Colored Troop soldiers would actually sign up there right there on the doorsteps to fight for that freedom. Okay. And so of course, Judge McLemore agreed to the deal, so Mr. Harvey McLemore had to give up 7 years of sweat equity along with some financial capital. But he was very brilliant about what he did, because he actually went in and paid down the loan early. Oh, okay. And the way he did it, he brought in other sharecroppers in and subdivided the plots on all 2 square city blocks and paid down the capital on it early. And then just had to finish out his 7 years of sweat equity. So he built his home there by 1873, and the neighborhood been there forever. So you have 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th generation families that's still there. And so again, from what Denny and Scott and Empty Hands Fellowship and these great guys like Dr. Chris Williamson as well have done there, they allowed the opportunity to bring out this housing nonprofit for preservation development. And we've been able to preserve it. One, by preserving the neighborhood, we would rehab existing homes, and then we also build new homes, for low to moderate income families. And then, of course, our last part of that mission is to enrich the lives of our neighbor, and that looks in different ways. I mean, through community engagement events, like the most recent one with the Thanksgiving giveaway, or the Angel Tree, that's actually being processed now. But we process a lot of community engagement events year round to give them some more wraparound support, adding a food pantry in the neighborhood. That we have a food desert there. About 60% of our kids are on free or reduced lunch, and so it's a lot of opportunities there that we're trying to drive more resources to the neighborhood and keep that community thriving for another 100 years.
I mean, so you're not like Habitat where y'all build houses for people. Y'all just give people support and not build houses. I
do,
thought you build houses.
We do build homes.
Okay.
We rehab the existing homes, which is the older homes.
Yeah.
Those are ones that was built in the 40s, 50s, 60s.
Got it. Okay.
And then we also build new homes, but we didn't want to build these, $500,000 homes plus right next to, these retired families or seniors.
Yeah.
And then they'd be left out. So we try to keep up the building codes and the maintenance codes along with that. But even with that being said, even if the house is valued at $500,000 or $600,000, we really only selling the homes for about $250,000 to $275,000.
Yeah.
So it's very under market value because the average household selling, frankly, is $950,000. So almost $1 million.
Hold on. The average house is $950,000.
Williams County Associated Realtors just announced it. I want to say Q3. The average household sale is $950,000.
How many square foot is that?
It depends on our lots.
God.
Our lots are getting smaller. Our last lot, matter of fact, the one we're developing right now is about 4,300 square feet.
Wow.
So, it just I think even mine per se was a little bit less than a quarter of an acre. So it's
So to move to Franklin, you almost gotta have $1 million to move to a house in Franklin.
Oh, easy.
Wow.
Easy.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
$1 million.
Yeah. You need to be averaging about at least $100,000 to $150,000 a year salary to be able to just make ends meet to be considered a moderate family.
Wow. So what families are qualified for houses like this?
We typically look for families of 2 to 4, and from the scale about maybe 45,000 to no more than 80,000 because we do follow HUD guidelines. We're a HUD approved agency, THD approved agency, as well as United Way approved agency, and so we try to keep it in the scale of that. So we look for our educators. We look for Williams County sanitation engineers, grocery clerks, firemen, police officers, retired veterans. We look for the families that really honestly are working, but they just, it's really hard to make ends meet for us the rent because even the average rent there is about $1,800 a month.
Well, one thing I would say is that how many years you been? You're the executive director, right? So how long you been executive director at Hard Bargain?
I actually, this year, this is 2024.
Yeah.
It's 4 years.
4 years.
4 years, but I was actually was on the board for over a decade.
And then you just came to executive director.
I became the executive director, voted in by board of directors. Yes, sir.
Well, that's cool. Yeah. Well, you got killed. Yes, sir, man. Killing me with that one, man. Yes, sir. I understand to be polite, man. We like, yes, sir. I'm like, it's just a podcast.
The Southern values.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. As we get close to wrapping this up, what's been some of your proudest moments of helping people in Hard Bargain? What's been some of the moments that you like, man, I'm so glad I'm doing this work?
Well,
or if you have any stories you could tell without maybe telling the name to someone that has just made an impact on their life.
Yeah, definitely. Most recently, we made our year anniversary for the Steele family, Miss Valerie and Daniel Steele. That was the first project I took under my wing right in the pandemic because I came in as 2020, and it's even more difficult for a senior couple or elderly couple to because definitely they're a little more limited on income. They try to really bridge in all the means work to bring resources to make it work, but we made it work. I gave him promise that we was going to do this, and I won't tell his story, but I would just tell you that God has had his hands on him, and he had his hands on us this whole time because not only, most people weren't in the office and you couldn't get certain things done. I was trying to apply for grants to do this or trying to get a donation for that, but most people was, in the house or, locked in, and everybody was on virtual world. So to be able to develop through preservation to make sure that we keep the character of this neighborhood of 157 years intact, and to be able to get this family who was paying, who rent went from $1,000 a month to almost $1,800 a month, and now they have a mortgage that's very economical, reasonable. Man, that was a very good testament. Man, I just love the Steeles, man. I love Daniel Steele and Valerie, and that moment kind of set it up for me to say, okay, I think we can do more. especially as we came. I know we're not totally out of it, but coming somewhat out of the pandemic.
Yeah,
and you know, that was the first moment, and then the second moment was to just start getting more financial literacy education and more home buyers education classes going, and really starting to tailor to these families to get them some hope and opportunity. But, and that's why my wife started, you know, Solomon Financial Solutions.
Yeah,
which of course I'm wearing today.
Yeah, man, you gotta give a shout out to that.
Yeah,
man.
gotta
got
plug.
A lot of listeners, man.
Gotta plug.
Plug it in, man.
Yeah, and so, you know, because the thing about it is, and what we really not taught, and even for my father and my mother, what I wasn't taught about. More or less, not just the savings account, but just the three ways money grows. Whether it's through, you know, variable products or index products, or, you know, your fixed products, and you know, how to start saving, and how to not only save. I mean, just not for the immediate, but you know, for your kids and your grandkids. And the estate planning, you know, a lot of times in our family we see somebody pass away and things happen, they don't have insurance coverage, and now we got to do, you know, the whole, you know, fish fry deal and the GoFundMe,
not the fish fry, man,
all that, man. That's, you know, and so, you know, we just wanted to try to change that narrative. Yeah, I think we have too many. I mean, your phone. We were just talking about the phones, right?
Yeah.
It could be such more than just this tool that we watching videos on YouTube and trying to, you know, TikTok and stuff on. I mean, you know, it could be so much more. So we wanted to try to take that and actually provide the community again with education, because I think just the more that you're educated about certain things, especially when it comes down to finances, I think the more, because with housing, for me, and you talking about a person, and when I told you I came from the 4th to 6th poorest state in the country, I slept on a park bench before in downtown Houston. Right? God reminded me of that. Right? And he used your most vulnerable pieces to remind you why you should be doing this. So I know at that time when he called me in 2019, he said, "Do not transform your mind of the world, but seek me." And this time he was sending me out to go help these families to get housing, because the easiest way to get out of poverty is some type of asset. Yeah. And right now, Williams County being the 4th or 5th wealthiest county in America, I mean, the homes are only going to get, you know, it's only going to build more equity over time. And so now looking back at what I learned from Denny and Scott Rowley and all these great pastors back then, and fast forwarding until now I get it. Back then I was 20 years old, you know, maybe 22 years old, didn't really grasp the concept and understanding, but now I'm like, oh my God, it's more significant than I just dropped like 15 years. It's gone now, you know. You know, because I got here in like 2005, like a few days before Hurricane Katrina.
So you moved here because of Katrina? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I forgot to ask you at the beginning.
Yeah. So no, it's cool. It's cool. Yeah. And then, well, I always tell people I wasn't flooded once. I was flooded twice, because we got another one in 2010. So, you know, water seems to find me, even though I don't want to find it. But it's okay. But yeah, it's just like I said. You know, I think, again, education. You know, just educating ourselves, because all our kids are not going to go to college. Yeah. Some of us are going to be a non-traditional route. I'm a primary example of that. Yeah. I came from Shreveport Dry Court. My family didn't have a pot of money or IUL for school or anything like that. So I ended up having to go get it for myself. I graduated when I was 17, and I never turned back. I just kept going. And so, you know, trades and other things that we definitely need now. I mean, electricians, plumbers. I mean, we need all that now.
Because they make money, man. I tell people, boys in my program, the same thing. I'm like, look, everybody ain't going to college. You know, I went to college in my early 30s. Right. And because I wasted years when I graduated in 94. Right. But no one really grabbed me and mentored. You know, I had a great father, a great mother. No one mentored me, and I didn't ask for it. Right. You know, I was more chasing girls and not trying to get an education. So now at my age, and I see young kids just growing up, that's why I fuss. Right. Because I see myself in them. Right. I see that if they don't get a good education or if they don't get a great skill, how are they going to make money to survive?
Oh, absolutely.
We see everything's going up. Everything's going up in pricing, housing, everything. So you can be middle class this, or you're going to be poverty.
Correct.
So I tell anybody, you can go get a great job but still learn the skill.
Correct.
My father taught me that. So I know how to go cut grass. If life just became rough for me, I can go cut grass.
Right.
Somebody need me to drive a truck.
Yes, sir.
I could go drive.
Mm-hmm.
I do. My dad told me when I first got married, he said, if you got to work 2 jobs, you do what you got to do to take care of your family.
Yeah.
And so that mentality is there. But I think just, the college route, some people are built for it.
Yeah.
I went over through a master's and I don't think nothing about it no more. I know TSU, which is my alma mater, I told my wife last night, I've been gone from TSU since 2011. I said, what have time flown? Because there's graduates today, and shout out to all the graduates from TSU. Congratulations. But, as we wrap up, it's just so important. You brought a great nuggets on the work you're doing, the impact you're making, and trying to help people. And there's your cause, it's your passion. So for me, it's me trying to help kids. Because I will admit, and Jim knows this, I always try to run from doing all this stuff. I do, man. I tell people all the time, if you want to give me one character in the Bible, I'm like Moses. I'm like, forget this. Your child jacked up, forget you.
Right.
But my mother always continues to tell me, she was like, God called you to this work, son. He called you to serve the fatherless. And you speaking about it, you see the problem.
Correct.
You see it. And Dr. King mentioned that in one of his speeches, like, if you see a problem, you don't do nothing, you like working an infidel or something like that.
Right.
If you see a problem, you need to be an advocate for it. And mine is fatherhood. Yours is helping people financially and getting homes. There are so many great causes out here.
Right.
And so I think just when I see people like you who's out here in the nonprofit world like me, and we both trying to go get money and stuff like that, I just like having a conversation with people. Yeah. Who just say, hey, it's tough trying to get funding. And but I think that, long as you're doing God's work, He going to find a way to bless you. Tomorrow I'm going to the Namaste, if I hope I said it right, Namaste Gala. But somebody reached out to me and was like, hey, man, you still have your nonprofit? I said, yeah, we're growing. He said, good, we're going to nominate you. And tomorrow I got to wear a tuxedo and all that stuff for tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
But God always opens doors and see your work. So
yes, sir.
As we wrap up, tell how people can find you.
Yes,
your
sir.
website. My producer Jim is going to write all that down.
Yes, sir.
So people can, number one, donate to your cause.
Yes, sir.
I want to get, if you say yes, sir, again, I'm going to cut this podcast out. Can't kill you with this yes, sir. But I want people to donate to Hard Bargain. I want people to know about and help you. We have listeners everywhere now. Mm-hmm. So I want people to donate. So look in my camera and tell people where they can find you. And then how can people support you and your wife's business as we wrap up?
Yes. So we definitely need your support. You can reach us by www.hardbargain.org. And all the information there, literally you can see all the information, hit the donate button. You also check us on Facebook, Hard Bargain Association on Facebook, Instagram. We're even on Twitter as well. If you want to look and get into more of these products that's going to actually give you protection, as Mr. Marcus alluded to earlier, definitely on index products, estate planning, health insurance, life insurance, anything to that nature, it's sfs365.com, www.sfs365.com, which stands for Solomon Financial Solutions 365.com, because we're doing this 365 days of the year, not just one day. You can look me up, Derrik L. Solomon, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, even TikTok. I'm on TikTok too, so
we all trying to do the TikTok.
Here, so just my name, Derrik L. Solomon.
And if you need the best Santa Claus, he is the best Santa Claus I ever seen, man. I will tell you that. He is the best Santa Claus I've ever seen. So he even made my own son like go in awe that he saw Santa Claus.
You need to put that picture up.
Man, I'm gonna put the problem with me is that I'm so private where I will post it today. Okay. And thank you, man, because I usually with my kids, I just want to be private.
Yeah.
Because I have a ton of photos of me and my kids, and I would not share it. And I've had people tell me, I share a little bit of my life, but I don't share a lot of it because I want to keep that to myself. So like that photo, I'm gonna actually get that blown up.
Yeah.
And because his mouth is wide open, so in 10 years I say, son, you saw Santa.
Right.
And so I tell people all the time, he's the best Santa I ever seen, man. So thank you so much, Derrick, for coming out with the crazy weather today, just to bless the mic and let people know about what you do. And I hope you continue to bless people, because you're a blessing in my life. I ain't gonna lie to you, dude. The nonprofit world is very hard. And it's very hard to find people that look like me and you that really has a heart to serve people.
Absolutely.
It is. It's very hard. So I thank you so much for coming, and we're going to have to do this again.
All right, baby.
All right, man.
All right.
Hey, guys, thank you so much for listening. It's another episode of Stronger Than My Father podcast. If you like what you hear, please click the subscribe button on YouTube. We need more and more subscribers to subscribe to our page and help us spread the word of fatherhood, and also see some of the good work like my friend Derrick and his nonprofit are doing to impact lives. So thank you so much again. And I forgot, Jim, as we wrap it up, I didn't give a shout out to my son MJ Marcus Jr. for helping his dad set up everything for the podcast today. So I forgot to give my oldest son, who is just like his daddy, to set up the podcast. So thank you so much. Tune in next time for another episode of Stronger Than My Father podcast. God bless you. Stay safe.